Hello, and welcome back to our last stop on the road to divine authority via chakra healing. It is the crown chakra, and this is kind of the final key to exit the matrix and to walk into your divine authority and to really be able to, blossom in and navigate fully through illusions and the deceptions and, the darkness to get out of the abyss, right? So I've mentioned before in all the previous episodes of this that essentially all the upper chakras have to be interconnected and working together in tandem in order for you to be able to navigate through this illusion field, through the darkness, through the deception, through the abyss, through the tricks, the fakes, and the snakes, all the above, right? And this one will be no different. I will go into detail on kind of how each one of these things play a vital part in the working, well oiled machine that the entire chakra system is, but why it is so vital and necessary for you to have your upper chakras aligned, unblocked, and healed in order for you to make this ascent into your highest self and to get out of this kind of old system that we're leaving out of right now. And also, I'm filming this on March 28th, is just the night before the lunar eclipse in Aries new moon tomorrow. And that is all about the North Node. It's about, realigning with your destiny, your highest purpose, and leaving the past behind, right? Because we just had the South Node lunar eclipse in Virgo full moon back on the when was that? Sometime this month. Anyways, and so that one was all about releasing the past, letting go of past versions of yourself, and closing out relationships with yourself and others that really needed some last final looks at and some closure. But this one, now that we're stepping into, it's very synchronistic of the alignment with the North Node and being able to have your connection to your upper chakras to help you navigate to that path and see what is and is not in alignment with you. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and dive in to all my notes and hit the talking points and get into the nitty gritty of the crown chakra. So, what is the crown chakra? The crown chakra is located at the very top of your head. And this is your direct link to God, source, universe, divine intelligence, whatever you want to call it. The force that you give, the bigger force, the force that's bigger than all of us, whatever title you choose to put in for it. That's what this connects us to. And this chakra governs your higher consciousness, unity with all, the enlightenment and truth beyond the veil, and soul purpose and divine timing. And then essentially, kind of like we've already discussed, and not only just recently, previously here, but without having this chakra open and flowing, you're spiritually cut off. And you'll be doing things like chasing signs and gurus and shortcuts because you feel like something is missing. And you're right. You're missing your connection to source itself. You're missing your connection to God, source, universe. You're missing your connection to your soul. And so some signs that your chakra is blocked. But before I get into the signs of your chakra being blocked, this I mentioned on one of these episodes of the Divine Authority series that there was a period in time where I felt spiritually cut off and blocked, and it was because I was on all the medications that were kind of suppressing me, and I wasn't able to fully connect. But beyond that, I had what you would call an overage of upper chakra energy. And a friend of mine brought an interesting article to mind to me recently. It was about saying those who are born cesarean section and prematurely also, they have all of their kind of life force energy poured into their upper chakras, but like have very little to no lower chakra connection. And that's me. If you've not already known my whole story, the short and sweet of it was I was born with my umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, wasn't breathing for 7 minutes, and had to have an emergency C-section to bring me out and then resuscitate me back to life. And that's how I came into this world. Came in swinging, came in fighting, came in already being intertwined, entangled with death and the spiritual world, right? But my point in saying this is there can be this thing of having like the overage of being too connected to God, source, the universe, too connected to the ethereal, too connected to the divine, and literally it got so much so to the point to where I was sort of kind of like kicked out of the nest, and they told me, God, source, universe told me very clearly, hey, we're going to be kind of blocking off a part of your connection with me, for a little while, so you can learn to, ground in more. And I just want to put that out there. There is a thing of where you have to have all the things. You can't have, so we relate the lower chakras to the masculine energy and the upper chakras to the feminine energy. But like you have to have the kind of equal parts. That's the goal, to have the equal parts of the upper chakra and the lower chakra, the feminine and the masculine, in the concoction together to make a very well-rounded, deliciously baked cake, right? And so this this having the chakras cut off, likewise can come with its own, the crown chakra cut off can come with its own mirage of really terrible signs and symptoms that can let you know, hey, I'm disconnected from this. So I'll dive in. I wanted to put that in there as well because there is kind of a thing of having it too much, being too in the spirit and not enough grounded in. And again, which is why I say everything always has to work in tandem, not just with your upper chakras, but also with your lower chakras, so that you can ground yourself and not just be too feminine, too in the feminine energy, too in the clouds. So diving back in, signs that your crown chakra is blocked. Really, please don't do the thing where you try to not acknowledge like, well, that's not me. Listen to these things and take in this information with an open heart, an open mind, and open ears. And do some real true introspection and self-analyzation to see if any of this actually resonates with you. Because if so, then that means that your crown needs realignment and you need to work on these things. And then, I mean, that's what it is. So some signs are constant spiritual confusion, obsession with control, and fear of surrender. Trying your best to not let things go or surrender, cynicism, or wait. Because I feel like I need to talk about the obsession with control and fear more. They were like, pause it there. So there's so many things that go into why having a control issue is an issue, and why having a fear of surrendering is a big issue, and why these two go hand in hand as an issue as a whole. But the short and sweet of it is literally when you're trying to control everything in your life and try to make sure that everything happens on a certain timeline, everything happens exactly as X, Y, and Z, and that this person is doing that, and not only that, but you start trying to micromanage the universe is essentially what you're doing, and you get spanked for that. Speaking from firsthand, literally, there was a large part of my life because everything else in my world, things that were going on with my health, things that were going on with my home, things that were going on with the family, things that were going on with career, things of this nature, because everything else in my life was so out of control. I tried to control everything that I could that like I thought was quote unquote within my control, but really was not. And because at the end of the day, the only thing that you can control is your mind, your heart, and your energy, right? So your mind, your emotions, and your energetic input and output, where you're giving your time and attention to. Those are things that you can literally tangibly control without getting the spank and the reprimands from God, source, universe, and the divine. So, but this this fear of surrendering, the false control, Earth has been very good with somehow making us think that we have control over what happens in our life and what doesn't. Because say you did plan your day out, jam packed with something to the minute, every minute. Somebody external to you could mess that up. The weather could mess that up. Forces outside of your control, which is everything, can literally alter anything and everything within your life in a second, right? So there is no real control outside of oneself. And that's just the little like side note that they wanted to drop in here as like a real reminder of there's not much here in this life outside of the self that you can control. And when you realize that, the most cathartic thing that can happen is being like, I surrender, and stop trying to swim against the current and force your will on the divine and force your will on the universe, and stop trying to manipulate the energy and control the puppet strings of life, because you will get your ass handed to you, really honestly. So like I said, speaking from experience, it's not a pleasant time, and God source universe will literally make an example of you and drag you to let you know, hey, I'm in control here, not you. And then, it's a really humbling experience. And then you become forced to literally just have to like sit in the no corner and be like, yeah, so right, kind of like nature, Mother Nature is a beast, and people think I'll just build up this XYZ, and in an instant, a typhoon, a volcano, an earthquake, anything can destroy it in a second. And that's, again, kind of like the universe's way of letting man know that, like, I'm in control here. Anyways, moving on, cynicism towards divine truth or unseen realms. So, like, literally not believing, being like, I've had to deal with this, and this is one of the things that while I was making this series, I was confronted with as a trigger, a wound that needed to be healed. When speaking my truth and telling others what it is that I do, and allowing people to see me as I truly am, and coming across some people who had this aforementioned cynicism towards divine truth or unseen realms, right? So when I say I'm a mediator between worlds and I help people, a lot of elite businessmen and those who are going through dark times rewrite their soul contracts and get into the redemption line to work on a redemption, ascension, and healing. People are like, there's no other, like, all there is here. That's just all we have. There is no the multi-dimensional, timelines. It's just this. This is what we have. We have here, we have past, and we have present, and we have tomorrow. Like, but it's not for you to argue with these people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, your truth is your truth. And again, it's a hard lesson to learn, because people think, really, we've been programmed to believe that what we see is it. That's what we have. That's what we've been taught. That's what we've been told, what the good government has told us about our world and our existence, and what the religious organizations have indoctrinated within us of what we can or cannot do. Rules supreme, and who are we to question that, right? But a lot of this is just illusions, frills, and fluffs, and things meant to keep you disconnected from your soul and your true power, because once you're connected, you're then able to see through the illusions. You're then able to break free. You're then able to get out. You're then able to change the game, like we've been speaking in this whole series here. That's what it's about. It's about escaping the abyss and navigating through these booby traps and things of this nature. But there are a lot of people who, like I said, still feel that they are doing the right thing, because they don't know any better, right? So it's a waste of your time to try and like argue them down, to make them see your perspective, to make them shift their view, or things of this nature, because they're not there yet. And some people may never be there, and that's fine. And you just have to be okay with that, because they're not your people, right? We only take willing participants. And I say that so frequently because I spent a lot of my time here, this incarnation and other lifetimes, trying to get people to understand, like, hey, no, I'm not some evil person. I don't do that. Or I'm just here to try to help people. I'm here to help people. I was just born like these. These are just my gifts. Like, and I'm here to try to help heal people and lead people and guide people. And no, or like, hey, this is a trap. Don't go that way. Don't do this type of thing. And it got me nowhere except for being hurt, or persecuted or, something of this nature, this lifetime in the past. So now, really, my motto is that we only take willing participants because only those who have chosen to answer their soul's call or to seek redemption or to seek healing or to seek growth within themselves this incarnation are ready to hear you, that are ready to perceive you, are ready to accept these truths and, kind of Wizard of Oz, like, first of all, see that there is a curtain before them, and then also take the next step and like pull the curtains back and look behind and be like, holy shit, somebody's back here puppeteering and like there's a projector back here. Like none of this is real. Everything is a lie, right? You feel me? So there's only a select. Not everybody's going to do that, right? Not everybody's going to acknowledge that there's a curtain there, and not everybody is going to take the step further beyond that to remove the curtain and see what is behind and what's really been going on in this orchestration that we've been existing in. So you got to kind of let those people do their thing. But if you are one of these people that are if anything that I've said has triggered you, we need to work on the crown chakra. Moving on beyond this, feeling abandoned by God or disconnected from your purpose. If you don't feel like you have a connection to God's source universe, and I'll speak from my personal experience because that's all I have. But literally when I felt that like cut off, and I was never fully cut off, right? But like I felt, like I said, God's source universe kind of push me out of the nest to an extent, and I could feel it. And I remember crying, and I was pissed off, and I was angry, and I was like, fine, you don't want me anymore, then I'll just. And then that was kind of when I decided that I was going to go on my F it phase, and I was bad girl. And no regrets though, no regrets, because now I have the experience to share with you guys and talk about it and share that, like, hey, I know what it's like, and it can be done to heal and have redemption and to make it out. So none of that, all that aside, it's to say that I have been there, and I felt like a hole within my soul, and I felt confused, and I felt rejected and abandoned in like the worst way possible. Like, not like a way of, oh, my dad doesn't want me, or my mom doesn't want me, or that guy doesn't want me, or that girl doesn't want me kind of rejection. This was like, I don't know, I mean, like, it's like, imagine having to come home as a child and tell your parents that you've gotten an F on a really, really important test, you know what I'm saying? And that deep that deep feeling, because you've been to get your ass whooped, like that deep fear of like disappointment, of anxiety, of worry, all that, but like escalated and elevated to the highest possible degree is what it felt like to feel abandoned and rejected by God's source universe. And it's not a great feeling. And again, if any of the aforementioned resonates with you, we've got crown chakra work that needs to be done, because it's a really deep wound, and that's a really deep, it's a terrible feeling to have to deal with. And then of course, coming along with that, like I said, came with the depression, the apathy, or the hopelessness, and resistance to stillness, meditation, and silence. Let me also deep dive into this, because we have an overabundance of this with people where they can't stand it to sit down, to just sit down and do nothing, to just be, literally to just hang out with nothing on, no TV on, no music on, no phone in hand, you know, to just be, to just chill, right? That's a huge fear for a lot of people. Again, especially a lot of the high performing businessmen and women who are constantly trying to pack every inch of their schedule with something constantly so that they don't have to deal with this. And that is a full thing, like red flag of avoidance, because you're afraid to sit with your emotions, you're afraid to sit with your thoughts, you're afraid to sit with your soul and reconnect with it, because I'm gonna keep it a buck hundred always. A lot of times when this has happened, it's because there's so much that we have done that we're not proud of up to this point that, we feel like we've just gotta, if I just keep busy, then I don't have to think about it and it's fine. Same way of where a lot of those who have just been on demon time all the time is like, if I just continuously keep myself drowned in pills, alcohol, sex, things of this nature to numb it, then I won't have to feel it and I won't have to face it and I won't have to deal with it. It's being afraid of oneself. At the end of the day, that's what it is. I say this frequently that judgment day is not when you die and then like some guy in a white robe and long beard comes up to you and is like, "Hello, can you tell me why on November 16th at 1952 you decided you were going to eat?" That's not what happens. Again, speaking from personal experience, death and rebirth and then following judgment. Death, judgment, rebirth happens cyclically, frequently, more than one time. It's an ever going, ongoing thing, rite of passage and initiation thing that happens if your soul has chosen to ascend and reach its highest version of self, this incarnation or any incarnation. You will go through this cyclical thing, death, judgment, rebirth, death, judgment, rebirth, death, judgment, rebirth, frequently, because that's part of it. That's rite of passage and that's initiation. And in that judgment time, the death part is like, okay, letting go of past self, past timelines, past ways of being, thinking, doing, existing, right? And so that could also be kind of like I said with the South Node lunar eclipse that we just came out of. It was a lot of letting go of the past selves. And then right after that, you would hop into what's called the judgment, right? You're in the void space. It's a time where you're just forced to sit with oneself, face yourself, and reflect on your past behaviors, choices, decisions, emotions, relationships, things of this patterns, things of this nature, things that you have been doing in this period of time, season of time, kind of like a quarterly event. You do like a progress report, a report card. You sit down and then you can see all the choices that you've made up to that point and then kind of reflect upon it. Why did I do that? Why did I have that kind of pattern? Why was I attracted to that kind of person? What made me think or react that way? Why did I want to do X, Y, and Z? Things of this nature. That's what takes place in judgment. And then once you go through the judgment phase, you go through rebirth, right? So rebirth, you're stepping into your highest self. This is that baton handoff thing that I'm talking about. So that version of you has completed its its leg of the race, hands the baton to the next highest version of yourself and says, "You got this," pats you on the shoulder, go. Rebirth then starts, and that next highest version of you takes hold, and you go on for that next quarter's thing. It's a process that happens cyclically if you allow it, meaning that you choose, keyword, choose, you choose to allow yourself to evolve. If you don't take the exits, to make the decisions to evolve, you will repeat as that previous self, right? And then again, everything is free will. You have the choice to decide every day whether you're going to evolve or repeat. So you can stay the same version of you as long as you want to, right? You don't have to continue. Like you can free will yourself out of evolving. You can choose to make the exact same decisions every day and stagnate yourself. You can choose that. It's painful. I don't recommend it. It sucks. But some people get comfortable in that version, in that way of existing. And not only that is like, what's to be expected. You know what's around the corner because you've just been looping it. So you're comfortable with it. It doesn't require you to really like take any risks or do anything outside of your comfort zone because you already know what's to be expected. But over here, when you choose to evolve, it means that you're like, you took an exit, you took a different road, right? You went a different way, and that different way is going to yield you different results, and you're going to be taking on some road that you. It's like when you get you're using GPS, or that I give the example of the self-driving car frequently. You put the address of where you want to go in, right? But then traffic or something ahead, and the self-driving car takes an unfamiliar route, and now you're like in some two-lane road out in the boonies, and there's nothing but cow pastures and wheat crop all along, and it's a little sketch. Sometimes you might be driving through the hood and it might not look that great. You think halfway through the journey, like, I might not make it out of here. Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy might be waiting for me, and at any moment. That's kind of how this road is kind of how this road looks. It doesn't look great. It looks a little sketch. But then, after 5, 10, 20 minutes, an hour goes by, you pop out and you're like at the destination, quicker than you thought you were going to get there, quicker than you would have got there on the road that with all the traffic and the issues, right? It was a little sketch on the way, but you got there. This is the process that I'm talking about, that I mean of you can choose, but they require different things they require you to make different actions. You can choose whichever one, but you're going to get a different result when you choose to evolve. When you stay the same, when you resist doing the process of death, judgment, rebirth, you are ultimately opting in to repeat because you didn't choose to evolve. Evolving requires you to go through death, judgment, meaning sit in the stillness, acknowledge yourself, face your fears, honor yourself, and go through and identify your patterns and ask yourself the hard-hitting questions. Why am I the way that I am this person? What is my greatest fears? What do I love? What do I like? What do I not like? Things of this nature, the hard-hitting questions, and do that deep introspection and analyzation frequently in order for you to be granted the access to go on to your highest path. You have to sit with yourself. And then we have the over reliance on the mind and logic, and the I need a sign syndrome every damn day. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, can you give me a sign? Is this what I need to be? Why? I didn't see any synchronicities today, so maybe this isn't it. Well, they asked me to do this, but like I didn't get, I don't know, I didn't see the triple digits on the clock, and nothing was adding up for me. I didn't get a feather today, so clearly it's this. It's this thing of feeling like you have to have a messenger every single day to like confirm that you're doing the right thing, or that you need to talk to somebody externally all the time, to not even because some ways that people realize what's happening with them is by having somebody that soundboards, and that's not what I mean. What I mean is that going to somebody in order to have them try to make the decisions for you. That's also a thing, because your God source universe should be the only person that you need to go to for confirmation on yourself. So essentially, if you're still looking externally for answers, if you're still going externally to make big decisions on yourself, like meaning you're hitting up the psychics every day, you're having to ask a pendulum every day, or you're having to do anything external to you, we still got crown chakra work to do. And again, that over reliance on the mind and logic, that's that masculine energy. And my God, it is so hard to break, because men are wired to go off of only the tangible, only the physical, and it's got to see it to believe it type thing. And that is what has effed humanity so bad. That entire logic and thinking is what has really set us back for quite some time, because everything that I have said, especially once we got to the upper chakras, was all about, if you don't have your upper chakras open and active and unblocked and healed, you ain't getting out. You ain't. You just not gonna get out. And you're like, I'm gonna keep it about country. The chances of you making it out and into the new system and being able to navigate into these higher frequencies and dimensions and densities, the higher realms, you have got to have faith in the unseen. You got to walk by faith and not by sight. And that's so hard for those, not just men in the physical bodies. Like, you have masculine and feminine energy within you, regardless what physical body you're in. But having to have that, like, I need to see it to believe it type thing is going to F you and block you from moving forward, is going to block you from reaching the good, really good frequencies and realms and dimensions, because you're still on the thing of needing to have proof. You're still operating from mind and logic. And again, your mind is involved, but it has to work in tandem with your open heart chakra's sonar system to accurately ping up that information to the third eye for it to process and sleuth out. So the mind and logic is there, except that it's receiving the reliable, accurate, 100% truth information. It's not taking it in from just mind and physical eyeballs. And that's where we're changing right now. So that is, I think I would say, is the biggest block that a lot of people are up against right now, is the got to see it to believe it type of demeanor. And because that's not where we're at. There is so much more that's happening within this world than what the physical eyes can perceive. I forgot what the percentage is that the physical eyes can perceive, but there's like an entire world that our physical eyeballs literally cannot see frequently. It's amazing because you can't see air every day, but yet here we are breathing it. People understand we have to have this invisible thing that you can't see to breathe, to exist. It's very interesting. So that is essentially all the things that I wanted to say about that. So let's move on. A blocked crown chakra isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous in the ascension process. If your GPS to God source universe is offline, you're literally running blindly through a battlefield of illusions. Literally, as aforementioned. And so how the crown chakra ties into all the other upper chakras. The upper chakras, heart, throat, third eye, and crown, form your internal ascension navigation system. Like I say, I always give it the relation to, like, it's your sonar system. The heart is your energetic sonar. It tells you what's real and what's not. Hey, you're presenting as a giraffe, but I know you a squirrel. That's a squirrel, right? Your throat is your transmission, your ability to speak your truth and walk it. And then your third eye is your filter. It sees beyond the illusions, the trickery, the fakes, and the deception. And your crown is the divine tether, your source of higher guidance and downloads and alignment. So all of those working together. If even one of them is offline, wounded, blocked, your discernment weakens, and that's where traps catch you. We mentioned this in the last video about the traps, but this world is literally booby trapped with distractions, spiritual fakes, manipulators, dark offers, empty promises dressed in gold, and a lot of people who have certifications. I'm certified, hiding behind. Listen, I'm gonna keep it a $100 as always. There's a lot, even within this. The spiritual community is no different. As soon as it's all part of the game, it's like, oh, so y'all want to get out, and the way that y'all are going to get out is you're going to use some of these spiritual guides. Well, fine. We'll release a whole bunch of fake guides in there so that they can continue to put you back, like keep you trapped in the old ways. It's a lot of these out here, and they're the ones, listen to me, they are the ones who have everything that you would think that check out, right? Like, they got the certifications, they have the PhDs, they have the things in front of their names, they have the titles, they have the age. Age discrimination is such a big thing where it's like, well, they're 70 years old or they're 80 years old. They've been doing this their entire life, or they, they old, so they know what they're talking about. Well, they got 10 degrees, and well, they got 15 certifications, and they studied with the monks in the Himalayas, so they got to be and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that have been released into the masses, who have a really big following, like a cult-like following, and they got the money and the funds to present themselves very professionally, very eloquently, again, wrapped in gold with a pretty bow on top, and they look the part. I had a video where I said, you know, you gotta look the part, you gotta dress the part, you gotta act the part, because they're playing a part. It's not that's not really them. That's not who they are. And same thing outside of this, the spiritual community. The religious community has got it bad. Like traditional organized religion groups has a lot of these where it's, you know, they're well, they're the pastor, you know, they pastor, you know, and they gotta be, their word is gold. And it's a lot of like, let's put the pastor up on the pedestal as if they themselves are God, and the pastors be unclean. The pastors be unclean. The conglomerate of the church be unclean. You know, it's bad because it's a lot of people who truly are seeking guidance and help, and they're trying their best to get it, and the game is rigged to make sure that you don't. And so you've got to be able to have this fortification within your upper chakra systems, all of your chakras. But like I said, you know, like the upper chakras are the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the the chakra system. And because without a strong crown chakra and its upper chakra team, you're kind of toast, just period. You're highly likable, highly likely to be swept up in one of the many traps and illusions and tricks that have been very strategically placed and for you guys to fall prey to. Like I said, it's a game, and they kind of were like, "Yeah, sure, you can leave," and then all you see before you is just a field. But again, the field is full of underground mines, like ready to just blow you to smithereens the moment that you step out. And the only way that you can navigate through it is physical eyes closed, third eye open, and in the upper chakras to navigate you and be like, beep, beep, there's a mine here, bleep bleep, trap here, bleep bleep, false person here, and yeah, so that's critical. That's a huge thing. And so now let's move into how to activate and heal your chakra, your crown chakra. So it's not about floating in the astral or blissing out. It's about anchoring yourself to the divine truth. So you stop getting thrown around by illusions and false timelines. And so daily activation practice. The first key thing, you got to do this, is the stillness meditation. No music, no distractions, just you and the void. Like I said, this is you just sitting here and in the like I'm weird. I like darkness. Like I put my eye mask on, I put some earplugs in, and I do the corpse pose. The corpse pose is the best one. There's going to be some other ones that I'm going to talk to y'all about, and I will show the corpse pose here in a second. But literally, it's essentially just you lying on your back with your arms kind of like this down to your side, and just full stillness. And I use a pillow underneath my legs. It's called the supported corpse pose because I don't like how it makes my back feel to just be like flat. So it takes the pressure off of my lower back. But in general, just lying there, you know, eye mask on, earplugs in, and it's literally nothing but dark void. It's just void space. And that is where I like snuggle in with my soul. That's where I go and get my guidance and my information. And I sit with myself and figure out and process things that I've gone through in the day or the week past or whatever the case may be. And I fully digest everything that's going on with me. I check in with myself, and then I have my time with God Source Universe and let God Source Universe kind of flow through me and help me recenter and ground. There's also kind of like the crown chakra affirmation. I am connected. I am directly connected to source, and I surrender to divine timing. But yeah, the key thing here is literally sitting with lying in the corpse pose and allowing yourself to be there, be in the void, be in the stillness, be in the quiet. And you can imagine kind of like a violet white beam of light raining down into your crown chakra, and envisioning God source universe kind of like activating your crown chakra, filling you with that like a neon violet white light, and it washing over you and clearing out any mental debris, clearing out any mental blockages, clearing out any stress, worries, anxieties, things that you've gone through for the week and work, things that you've gone through the day, and just getting rid of all the muck and grind that doesn't need to be there anymore. And then, or you can do the candle gazing. Candle gazing is also good, but kind of like allowing yourself to be lost in the light of that candle, and kind of same thing, but envisioning. But when you're candle gazing, it literally brings your focus to only the right there, that present moment. And so that's why I also like the candle gazing. So poses, yoga poses for the crown chakra. Like I said, the corpse pose for surrendering and divine integration. And pull it down. Do my famous, can you see me? Okay. So corpse pose, literally just sitting here, body like this, surrendered, lying here, nothing on, no music, no lights, just allowing yourself to be. And it's just like I said, you can put something underneath your legs to kind of keep the weight off of your lower back, so everything's not just resting there and it becomes uncomfortable, because you don't want to be uncomfortable while you're trying to just have this weightlessness and envisioning yourself being in the void. Like imagine being floating on top of the ocean out in the it's dark, all you see is just black. This is what I do. I know it's weird, but it's peaceful for me to just envision being out into the ocean and looking up, and maybe you see some stars and whatnot, but essentially all you see is darkness, dark around you. It's quiet, it's peaceful, and you allow your body's weight to rest down into the mattress below you or onto the yoga mat below you, wherever you're laying, right? You allow that weight and pressure to just be taken off you, and you're ultimately literally just surrendered. And that's the place that you want to be. You want to allow yourself to be in this moment for at least 5 to 7 minutes. Aim for the 7 minutes though. And, while you're lying here, kind of let yourself process some thoughts that you feel about yourself. Allow yourself to process emotions that you've been running from or you haven't processed. And yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy the moment of surrender. And if you want to say it, I surrender. I surrender to you, God, Source, Universe. I surrender to my emotions. I surrender to this present moment. I am surrendered. I am surrendering all control. I release my need to control. I am surrendered. Yeah. And that's essentially one. And then they have it's the headstand, but nobody's doing that. I'm just saying, I'm not, if you are experienced enough to do a headstand, hey, all props and kudos to you, but I'm not doing it. Like I got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I have enough issues going on, but again, kind of propping your legs up. Can you see me? Kind of propping your legs up on the wall. This is this year modified legs up the wall stand to stimulate blood flow to the crown, and holding again 3 to 5 seconds each time that you do it. Those are the two that I frequently do. There's some other ones that you can do: lotus pose, seated cat cow, extended puppy pose. And then let me move you back up. Then we have best crystals for crown chakra support. You can keep them at your altar, under your pillow, or meditate directly with them on the crown, or just hold them. I mean, that works too. I do that. I just hold it. Of course, amethyst for the divine connection and spiritual clarity. Clear quartz is the energy amplifier for source communication, and selenite purifies mental clutter and links you to your higher self. Also, your selenite, get a selenite bowl so it can clean your crystals as well. And lepidolite is emotional release and trust in the divine plan, also essential. Again, the tumbled stones are great for holding or just putting. I wear a satin bonnet at night, and I keep them kind of like on top of my satin bonnet. Or if you have a headband, I've done the thing where I'll put the headband around my head, like under my chin, and so it'll hold the crystal in place. on top of my head. No, it sounds weird, but it helps. So, to wrap this up, some final truths that you need to hear. If your heart is blocked, you won't feel truth. If your throat is blocked, you won't speak it. And if your third eye is blocked, you won't see through the game. And again, I feel like we've already mentioned these things, but still. And if your crown chakra is blocked, you're not going to be able to hear the divine guidance. You know, what is it they say? Like, hear no evil, see no evil, think no evil, speak no evil, feel no evil. You aren't going to feel any good either. And if you can't feel, speak, see, or hear the truth, how you gonna get out? How you gonna navigate through the booby trap? How you gonna get there, huh? Houseway. So your sole homework is to sit in silence for 7 minutes a day. No music, no phone, no distractions, and ask source, what am I refusing to surrender? Literally ask that with like all sincerity, not sarcastically, and take it in and then just let the answers come to you because they always do if you're willing to listen. You have to be open and ready to receive the guidance. You have to be open and ready to receive the message. And you really have to be open and ready to do the work and process the things that will come up with this if you do indeed receive a message and receive the guidance that you're looking for. And that's it, guys. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to be making a lunar eclipse, new moon in Aries video right after this. And stay tuned for that. And then also don't forget you can apply to work one-on-one with me. Application only out here in these streets. And once you submit your application, I will reach out to you with an email and let you know either way what we got going, if we're going to work together, if I don't think it's a fit, my reasoning behind that, things of this nature. Subscribe to the YouTube, support your girl. If you know somebody who would benefit from my work and things, support your girl. Send them over, send them my way. All right, guys. And with that, I'll see you. Oh, don't forget the New Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension is on Amazon if you're interested. All right, V Squad.